Welcome to An Awful World, but not awful like you think.
This is the show where we discuss whether we would have discovered important advances in a world exclusively full of Haylies and Libbys. I'm Haylie.
And I'm Libby. And today,
we're talking about religion.
We didn't sing it because it's kind of a scary topic to talk about.
It's going to be a little touchy, I feel.
It's a little heavy.
Yeah.
But it's necessary.
It is necessary.
I think, to discuss.
It is, because in the current world, it's a very big part of most people's lives.
It really is, yes.
So we need to discuss whether we would have religion in an awful world.
That's true. So in order to understand whether we would have religion in an awful world, I think it's important for us to understand how we got religion in this world.
I love it.
And honestly, we don't totally know. Much like language, religion is something that has been around for a very, very long time.
Thousands of years.
We have indication that even Neanderthals had religion or some sort of religious beliefs, but we really have much more solid information of when writing became a thing.
Right.
Which was 5,200 years ago. So it's at least that old. But the concept of religion itself is much younger. It's more like 16th, 17th century of religion. And I also think it's important for us to discuss, what is religion?
Yeah.
Is it a set of ideologies? Is it a church of people? Is it something that has to have a religious text?
I think that it's more just like a belief that multiple people have of a specific higher power, some sort of way to explain why we're here, our purpose, or how we should be treating people, things like that. I don't think that it needs to have a text. I don't think that it needs to have a church. I think that a belief in a higher power of any sort is some sort of faith, some sort of something like that is, in my opinion, a religion.
I agree. And I think it's so interesting that you said both of those things, because I literally wrote down in this episode, Haylie and I kind of just talked about this off mic, but this episode is going to be more of our impressions of religion, not so much the history and development of religion, which I do have little tidbits about.
Yeah.
But I think it's more just our impressions of it and how we think that would look in an awful world.
Yes.
So I wrote down that I personally think that religion often hinges on two things. It's man's consciousness and our need for morality and what separates us from animals. But it also hinges on our deep need to understand why we're here.
Yes.
And how we got here and what we're supposed to do now that we're here.
Yes.
I think that is such a strand that runs through the history of humankind that makes it so important for us and why we need religion.
When I think about old religions, ones that are now what we would consider mythology, but when I think about those and I think about religions of today, they really are doing the same things.
Yeah.
They're explaining
the world.
They're explaining how we got here, why we're here, or they're explaining other things. Because if you think about some of the oldest religions, the polytheism type religions, multiple gods, things like that. You've got your rain god, your sun god, things that are, you need rain for the crops, but you need sun for the crops, and you need all of these things, or you'll have a bad year, or, things like that. And there needs to be a way to explain that.
Yes.
So they have those. But then a lot of people turn to a monotheism, a one god system, but it's still somebody who, or
has control.
Yes, some being that has control of all of these things that leads you to feel secure that there's something going on.
A higher.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's always been a comfort for people.
Yes.
And I think that's very understandable because let's be honest, the world that we live in is confusing
and chaotic,
large, and it's so hard to explain anything that happens here or how we got here. And so I do think that it is sort of the lens that many people look at life through.
Yeah.
And so I guess we should talk about a little bit and I can give some of my background for people who don't know. But I think it's interesting, Haylie and I we're very different people when it comes to this topic.
Yes.
Except that I think that we have a lot of the same, like, moral beliefs about things.
I would say.
So I grew up in, I don't want to say an ultra religious household, but I did grow up in a religious household. We were Christians. We went to church. I was involved in church groups and things like that. It was a very large part of my childhood. I used to wear a purity ring. I mean, I was in it. I was fully in it. Like, I was very ingrained in the culture of religion until I got older. And I think, you know, now I describe myself more as a spiritual person. I still believe in God. And you know, that's just my personal belief. But I have grown to understand many of the problems that religion has brought into the world. And there is something that, like, I actually would love for you to watch it, Haylie, because I think that you would, you know, agree with it largely, even if your beliefs are, you know, atheistic or agnostic or, you know, however you want to describe it. Because it's a video by a Christian man. It's a spoken word poem called Why I Love Jesus But Hate Religion. And it talks about religion being, you know, if religion's so great, why has it started wars? You know, why does it allow people to be in positions of, you know, people in positions of power to hurt other people? Why, you know, it's all this stuff. And in the Bible, Jesus called religious people whores. Like that. I mean, that's truly, he called them that.
Yeah.
Like religious zealots were frowned upon. And so he sort of delineates this whole thing as like, and one of the most, I think the best part of it is he says that Jesus is God searching for man. Religion is man searching for God. And like, what a difference that is.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of mixed emotions about religion that I will talk about today. And, but yeah, it's a fascinating topic.
Yes, it definitely is. And now, since you just kind of went through your background, I'll just go with mine. Like you said, I am an atheist. I grew up in a Christian family. I wouldn't say that they have like a Christian denomination, you know, but a Christian family. And as I kind of got older, I never truly was really in it. We didn't go to church. My mom's side of the family, with her husband's side of the family, they went to church on like Christmas Eve.
Right.
And
we call those creasters.
I liked it because I like Christmas songs, and I would hum along to the organ. I was a big sucker for the music, still am, but I was never really in it. And then around high school, I was kind of like, I just don't know that I really believe it, and I've never really cared. And I've always found it fascinating that Greek mythology, that used to be full on religion. Yeah, that used to be big time, you know. I don't think Christianity big time, but big time, you know. And now it is mythology. And so I went through a more agnostic phase of, well, how do you know that yours is the one true religion? And why do you think that you're better than everybody just because you believe in this one particular God? Right. And how do you think that you're going to say that Zeus is a myth and those people were stupid for believing in it, but Jesus is so real? And I kind of went through this agnostic phase to say, any of you could be right. So maybe you could just calm down. Yeah. And now I'm kind of to the point where that's fine if you want to believe. I think that religion is a very important role in society. Yeah. I think it gives people a lot of peace, a lot of comfort. And if that's what you need to be a good person, or like you need the 10 commandments to keep you in line, or if you need that explanation to make you be able to sleep at night, I think that's great. But I personally don't believe in it. And I feel like I can still be a good person on my own. And so I feel like I'm an atheist, but almost like, I don't know, like almost somewhere between an atheist and an agnostic, because it's kind of like, I don't really believe in a higher power, but I mean, I think it's dumb to fully rule it out, you know? Yeah. But I also think that me not believing in it is fine.
Yeah, I think that it sounds like you're still just like kind of questioning, like, what is all of this? What is, going on here? And I think that is important, and it's something that is not offered to people who grow up in a denominational type household.
Yes, I agree.
Because, with my political beliefs, I was always taught by my parents. They were very good about, you believe what you want to believe, but know why you believe it.
Yeah,
and
which is an excellent way.
It absolutely is.
To think.
I don't know that it was ever like that with our religion. It was just sort of like, you believe that because you were born into this house and this is what your parents believe.
Right.
And
so it's harder with religion because politics are like, these people are going to put these policies in place, where religion, on the other hand, is...
Policies are already there.
Right. And you're just kind of like, well, this is the one true God, or the multiple gods, whatever, like you're taught that like this is the correct way.
Right.
Because it's not about policies. It's about a higher being.
Right.
And so it's harder to be like, well, pick what you want.
Yes. Yeah. So it's definitely, I think that is important for all people of any faith to try to understand why it is they believe what they believe, to 100%. Explore what else is in the world. And I think that if you're not questioning your beliefs, then you're being a little ignorant, in my opinion.
Yes.
So like I took a religion class in college. It was wonderful. It was so fabulous. I got the opportunity to read so many other religious texts, the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu text. I got to read the Torah, which is Jewish. I read, why can I not think of what the Islamic text is?
Is it the Quran?
It is the Quran. Thank you.
Quran?
I don't know. Quran, however it's pronounced. I read that. And I think it sort of just like reinforced my belief, which I was like glad for. But again, like growing up, going to college opened my eyes a lot about the world of quote unquote religion, which what I'm talking about more is like organized religion.
Yes.
Which I tend to have a lot of problems with.
Oh, I 100% have problems with organized religion.
For sure. And I think it's important to understand that perspective, both from a person who is not religious or is agnostic or atheistic, and somebody who is spiritual and believes in a higher power.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to recognize that like we both see the issues with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also that we're both like, you believe what you believe, I believe what I believe, and we're still friends.
Yes.
I feel no need to try to change your mind or shove it down your throat. Or I think I respect your beliefs and you respect mine.
Yes.
And I think that is such a huge part of what our society should be like, but isn't.
I agree. And this is like always been my main argument is you don't really know. You believe.
Yeah.
You have a faith. Yes. And that is so important. And like I said, some people need that to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
They need to believe it. It creates order in a chaotic world.
Sure.
But if you boil the majority of religions down to their bare bones, they truly are about the same things.
They are.
They're about like the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. They're about compassion and respect and doing the right thing and being a good person and all of those things. And so I don't understand why, if I'm Jewish and you're Christian, why we can't just be like, that's cool. You just have a different way of explaining the world.
Right.
Like, why does that matter? Why does it matter if you're Muslim and you pray to one God and they're Jewish and they pray to a different? Why does it matter?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, everybody's just trying to get through the day by being a good person. And, it just sets guidelines.
Absolutely.
And I think some people need that. Some people don't. Yeah. I don't, I just feel like I get up in the morning and I'm like, okay, don't kill somebody. I don't really have the urge to kill somebody. Well, every once in a while, but I know not to act on that.
Right.
And I don't need like a book to tell me that. I just, I know. And I'm not saying that everybody who's religious needs that. But I think that it's comforting.
Right.
But I just don't see how, because I have one book and you have a different book we have to hate each other.
Why we should hate each other.
And why we would kill each other over it. I don't get it.
Yes, and I think you make a very good point. And my observation of the world has been that the building blocks of religion are good.
Yes.
They're those things that you just mentioned about, being a good person, treating people well, just all of those things. The building blocks are there, having compassion, helping people. Those are all good things.
100%.
But man has destroyed those good things by creating this organized religion.
Yes.
That is no longer as good as we'd like it to be. Because, I know you talk about, Zeus versus Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say is Jesus was a real person.
Right.
That's historically accepted that Jesus really walked the earth.
Right.
Which is, whatever. You debate that all you want. But I mean, that's like a historically accurate thing that he was a real person. Now, whether or not you believe,
that he's the son of God,
sure,
and he had the powers.
That's what's in dispute, right?
Right.
But Jesus was a very radical grassroots type person, which I know that some Christians do not want to hear.
No.
But it's the truth.
Yes.
Okay. Jesus walked around all of, Israel, basically, talking to people, helping people.
And not being white.
Yes. Another thing that people don't want to hear.
Super important.
He was Middle Eastern.
Yes. If
he does not look like you think he looks.
Born in the Middle East.
Right. You're not going to look like that. Okay. You're not going to look like
some
Joe
white guy.
Smith.
Right.
You're going to look Middle Eastern.
Right.
That's where you're from.
You could have just had him be born in London for your book.
If that's what you wanted.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. And so I think there is a tendency to sort of cherry pick the things and make those part of the story. And we've as a society, as Christians, in my opinion, because I am a Christian, so I can speak from that point of view, is that we've gotten so far away from what Jesus really wanted, which was for us to be compassionate to all people, to be accepting of people, to understand that we are all sinners. We are all, not a one of us is better than the other. And to have compassion for people. And so it breaks my heart to see, particularly what's always, weighed heavy on me is people in the LGBTQ community and how much they are driven from churches and God because of how churches tend to treat people.
Right.
And so like in that spoken word poem that I was talking about, he actually says, if Jesus came to your church, would they actually let him in? Like, here's a man who's probably dirty, who, maybe to you seems like he's talking crazy or whatever. Would they actually let him in? I think that's a good question.
Yeah.
And I think that is a major, major problem that I have with it, is that it has become so like, you must do these things in order to earn your place in heaven. And I do not believe that at all. No.
Well, and it's one of those things where America, I feel like, unfortunately, has a really big problem with this right now.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying other countries don't. I think that Christianity and any organized religion, but Libby and I closely know Christianity more so than other religions.
Born into or around.
Yes. So it's, and being in America, it is. Yeah. It's not like the national religion because we don't do that here, but
it might as well be.
Exactly. Yeah. They're trying to kind of make it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you see a lot of this with a specific political figure where it's all about winning, and lying and cheating and doing all of these things, to the point where there are Christian churches here in America who are being told, stop preaching about Jesus because Jesus is a woke loser.
Yeah, and that's that's so offensive to me.
And it's so wild to me because that is literally
it's the basis of the religion.
Of the religion. Jesus Christ, Christian.
Yep.
I don't understand how it's being so turned on its head. But I also think about something I saw once on TikTok was that, so here in America, when we are in school, we are taught that people came to the Americas for religious freedom.
The Puritans.
Yes. Now, German...
Strict people. Anyway, go on.
We'll talk about those in a later episode, actually.
Yes, we
will. So German textbooks for schools, they teach that these people came to the Americas for religious extremism. And I'm like, you know what? That really checks out here, actually.
Yeah. It's all the way you frame these things, right? It is sort of like a revisionist history, which we'll talk about in upcoming episodes as well. And it's too bad that it's centered around religion because I think it ruins it for so many people.
It does.
Because truly, I believe fully that you're a good person. I do.
Yeah. And I believe that you are too.
Right.
And I think
there is no part of me that's like, shame on her because, she doesn't believe what I believe.
Right.
It's like, no, Haylie's a good person and she, respects what I believe and I respect what she believes. And I think it's very important to have that like different thought in your life.
Yes.
Because if you are just around people that agree with you all the time, that's boring.
It is.
And it doesn't challenge anything about you at all. It doesn't make you, feel more strongly about something than you did before or like reinforce your beliefs at all. It just makes you, I don't know. You're a sheep, honestly, at that point.
Yeah.
You're just going with it because it's what everybody else is doing. Well, Jesus did not go with what everybody else was doing.
No, he kind of did the exact opposite.
Yeah. And it got him killed.
Yeah.
So, that's, that's what happened.
And that's why they think he's a woke loser.
Well, they're wrong. They're the losers.
It's just so wild to me that like, even within a certain religion. And this is where I think, so again, in America here, we have a big problem with people who are not like us, who don't think the way that we think, things like that. And I always think about 9/11. We were young when it happened, but we have watched literal wars play out over this. But I think about after that happened, and there is this one news this one news clip that plays over and over in my mind from like right after that. And it was this woman was in like a McDonald's drive-thru and she was a Muslim and the employee threw hot coffee in her face.
Yeah.
Just because she was Muslim. And that has nothing to do with the people who flew that plane.
Right. Those were just extremists.
Yes. And every religion has them.
Right.
And Christianity has extremists. We witness it every day.
Yeah.
And it makes it hard to, as somebody who is an atheist, to take the religion seriously.
Absolutely. And I understand that.
And it's hard as somebody who a lot of her friends are Christian, a lot of her family is Christian. And I'm always like, and these are good people who just believe in Jesus. And so as I said to you the other day, I'm like, people who believe in Jesus, that's great. I have no qualms. People who follow the teachings of Jesus. But in this country, it's hard to like Christianity.
It is. And I understand that completely because of what it's been turned into.
Yes. And it happens with every religion.
It does. It does happen with every religion. I think you're absolutely right that here in the United States, it's so saturated in Christianity. So that's what we see.
Yes.
But obviously, that is happening in Islam. It's happening in Judaism. We're seeing that every day too.
Yes, we are.
We're seeing that play out. And
it's unsettling.
It's very unsettling because it's been weaponized.
Yes.
And that's never what I wanted. And it's not what Jesus wanted either. Or any other, religious figure that you believe in. I think if you break it down to its bare bones, that's not at all what any of this was supposed to be about. And it's like, man has just ruined it.
Yeah.
And it's just like very disappointing to me. And I could go on and on about it. The problems that I have with the church and like, even, in my childhood, like I said, was involved. I was very involved in my church. Those people, albeit good-hearted, they never accepted me. I could not figure out why. I still don't know why. And it doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter now. And I don't know that it was intentional or whatever, but I always just felt very out of place and left out and like a little bit rejected.
Yeah.
And I think from that perspective, you can like start to understand where people are coming from.
Yeah.
In terms of like, well, this drove me away. And I'm just like, I get it. Like and that's not what it's supposed to be about. And it's disappointing to me. By the same token, I have, in my, mid-20s, started attending a church that a couple of my friends went there. So I started to go there and check it out and see it. And their approach was so refreshing to me because it was very much just like, you know, I don't care who you are. Just you come here every Sunday, that's fine. You want to give us money, you don't, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it is, and they give out communion. You want to take communion, you believe in that? That's fine. You know, we'll have a spot for you to do that.
Yeah.
And like the pastor was always very much like, I'm not preaching at you because I am also like, here are my struggles as well. And like, I am not better than you. And that is so new and refreshing to me.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, my mom, the church that her and her husband go to, there was a time, I can't remember if they were really busy. I know her husband had like knee surgery at one point, and so he couldn't like get out of the house for a while he recovered, things like that. And so they hadn't gone to church in a while. And I remember asking her to like come hang out and do something. And she was like, Haylie, we have to go to church or they're going to kick us out. And I said, Mom, they can't kick you out. It's church.
Sure.
And she said, no, if you don't go for so long, they can kick you out.
And
I was like, that's
absurd.
Messed up. That is literally not the point of church. She was like, they can kick you out of the congregation. And I literally
I'm speechless.
Yes, I literally still am so confused by that.
Yeah.
Especially because I watched that pastor come to the house for them when her husband like couldn't stand up to go to church.
Right.
And do like a small sermon just for the two of them and things like that. And I was like, oh, well, that's nice.
Really cool. Yeah.
And then to
turn around and
say hear that you could be kicked out. I was like, that's literally
we're driving
the
people away.
Complete opposite. I do not understand that. And I know that there are churches where like some people want to get married and then they're like, well, you have to be a member of our church. And I just,
it's exhausting to me.
It's so exhausting. It's so weird. Like, what if, I don't know, like you want to get married in this town, but you live somewhere else.
Right.
But if you're part of that religion, why does it really matter?
Right. If you believe in the same God that I believe in, sure.
Right.
Come on down.
I just don't get it.
Get married here.
Like, isn't it just supposed to be a club of people who have the same beliefs and want to be good people? And
it should be.
Like, that's always kind of what growing up I was told religion was. And then the older I got, the less it was like that.
Right.
And it was such a bummer because Christianity, the like music, it slaps. I'm sorry. It does. They just have bangers of songs for the holidays. They are just killing it. And they've got the best holiday movies as well. Yeah. I'm just putting it out there. And you know what? They've got the best like holiday mascots as well. And I'm like, it's a big bummer because I want to play all the fun games, but I also don't believe it, you know? And so I'm like, it's hard, but I'm like, but I want to celebrate Christmas and I like bunnies. So why can't I hang out for Easter?
And we'll at a later date talk about some of those things.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think that it's like, well, who could blame you? You know, really, who could blame you for feeling how you do?
Yeah.
After you've seen what's happened in our society.
Right.
I don't blame you.
Right.
I was driven away from church myself, you know, and
a lot of people are.
Yeah. And I hate that because it's just not what it was ever supposed to be about.
No.
And I'm going to be so annoying about this spoken word poem, but I have loved this poem for so long, where he talks about it's not meant to be a museum for good people. It's supposed to be a hospital for broken people. It's where broken people are supposed to come to, you know, heal. And it's not that at all anymore. It is so that, well, you got to show up every Sunday. And, you know, it's just like, it's another annoying Casey Musgraves song. It's not annoying. I'm annoying, not Casey Musgraves. Thank you. But she's like, you know, if you don't go to church, you'll go to hell. But if you're the first one on the front row, you're self-righteous. Basically, it's just like you cannot win for losing.
No. Well, and God forbid you're a woman who is in the church. And it doesn't matter what church.
No, it doesn't.
Think about, is it Muslim people right now with the full coverage of their face and their hair? Yes, there's the burqa, there's the hijab. Thank you. I'm like doing all the hand motions around my head. I'm like, which I love the hijabs. They're like the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. And I'm always so jealous because I'm like, you know what? When I have a bad hair day, I wish I could wear a hijab.
100% beautiful.
They're so beautiful. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know why you would ever hate on somebody for just wearing that. And because it's the same as wearing a cross necklace.
Yeah, it is. It's and why
does it matter?
we as a society, I'm getting so much farther into this, but like we as a society have become too offended all the time. Why does it bother you if somebody else wears a hijab?
Right.
Because that's their religion. Let them wear it. It's not hurting you. It's the same with, why do I care if a man marries another man?
Right.
Is it doing anything to me? No. So I don't care. Just do you. That's fine. And it's not, it's just gotten out of control.
It has. But if you look at like all of these things, though, it's all of these modifications are on women. Like, even Christianity, I know we don't, Christians don't wear headdresses to cover their face or their hair or anything like other religions do, but you can't show your shoulders and you can't show your cleavage.
You've got to be
modest.
Can't
wear short shorts.
Right.
And even if you don't do those things and you dress modestly, if some guy is attracted to you,
you attract the man.
Exactly. Then that's on you. And you are the bad person in that situation.
And that is something I so struggled with, like getting over, because I do have such like strong feminist ideologies and oh my God, like purity culture. I could give you a whole episode on that.
Purity culture
and how that ruined my
so toxic.
Brain. I mean, honestly, it's a miracle to me that I have such a normal relationship with a man that I'm not married to. Because nobody saw the behind the scenes of struggling with that, like being just in your 20s and being like, I'm sure some people would be like, she's a whore or whatever. You know what I mean?
I mean, some people would, but like, those are the people whose opinions shouldn't matter to you, actually.
But it did matter to me. And so there's very much this belief of like, well, if I do this, that's it for me. I'm going to hell, or I'm tainted forever, and it's like, I think it was so messed up when I realized that the same logic does not apply to men.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
So it's just like, well, if a man sleeps with somebody, well, what a stud he is. And, it's just another notch in his belt. But if a woman does, well, she's a whore and she is tainted goods and she's unlovable and all of these things that were so hard for me to get over. To actually like have like a normal, healthy relationship with somebody that I'm not married to. And like, I have no regrets about the way my life played out in my 20s. I have no regrets about what I've done. I have had fun. Safe,
as you should.
Fun. And I have enjoyed, meeting people and getting to know people and, all kinds of, and I'm not like, if you're listening, like I have not like slept with, hundreds of people. I'm genuinely not a whore. Not that somebody who has done that is, but just like, I had, I think, a normal 20-something experience.
Which, as you should, that's what your 20s are for. And I don't really understand. Something I never understood, and I would argue this all the time as a teenager, was there's always been this like thing about body count. And guys needs to be higher. Women shouldn't sleep with anybody. And men should sleep with all these people. And I was like, okay, but if you can't be gay, who are these men sleeping with?
Good point.
Are these men getting together and sleeping with each other? Or are they sleeping with women? And why are they sleeping with these women if they're used up?
Right.
So like
the logic is flawed.
The logic is so flawed. Like,
it's flawed.
The math ain't mathin' for me. And it never has, and it never will.
And it for sure could get into a deeper conversation that I don't want to get into about, the burden ends up being on a woman, when two people make a mistake or sleep together and, get pregnant. And that's just, again, a whole deeper conversation that I don't necessarily want to get into, but it surely lends itself to that ideology of like, well, it's on the woman now to take, responsibility for it. And that is so messed up.
It's so messed up.
Because I'll tell you what, Joseph didn't go running.
No.
Okay. When Mary was like, hey, here's the thing. I am pregnant. And Joseph's like, but we never. And she's like, I know. And it's a whole thing. But like, he was like, okay, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to help you out. You know what I mean? It's just whatever.
Yeah.
listener, if you're in the Indianapolis area looking for warm photos of you and your loved ones, you're going to want to check out Hey Blondie. Hey Blondie is committed to capturing people from all walks of life through all stages of life, from a new baby to graduation. Check out HeyBlondiePhoto.com for more information and give them a like on Facebook and Instagram at Hey Blondie Photo. Anyway, I did a little fun research on...
Let's hear it.
Yeah, because that was a heavy conversation.
Yeah, let's lighten it up a bit.
Yes. So Hinduism is actually probably the oldest religion in the world.
That's what I saw too.
Which I was like, okay, cool.
Which I love. Which
Yeah.
then to me, I'm like, how is that not the real religion?
I know, it does make you question that, right?
You know?
So we think that, well, actually, it's probably older than we realize.
Right, because
But-
you got to get the written text.
Exactly.
and-
But the
mhm.
written texts that we have, the written Hindu texts, are 3,000 years old.
Which is crazy
nuts. Yeah, it is cool. It's super cool. Judaism is also very old. We know that the oral tradition at least goes back about 4,000 years with that. But again, it's like language that we just we don't know what the birth of, these ideas was or where it came from, or,
Yeah.
we just have our suspicions about understanding the world and that sort of thing. And so the reason that Christianity has been such a prolific and long-standing religion
Mhm.
is because it's a missionary faith.
Mm.
So it does very much go out and make disciples of all nations and
Yeah.
all that good stuff. And so
Which I don't love.
I get it. The Crusades, not great. A little bit of a blood stain on the history, and I do mean a blood stain on the history of Christianity. But that is why it's become so prolific. But, I did read a lot about early Christianity was very, it was prolific because there was a large sense of community and helping each other. And
Yeah.
that really was the basis for it. And that it started out so good. And then man, just their need for power just ruined things, but whatever.
Yeah.
So getting to an awful world.
Yes.
I want to talk about an awful world. So my opinion on this is that I think that we would have religion in an awful world.
I agree.
I do not think it would look anything like what we have now.
No, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, okay. The Haylies of the world, I think some of them would be into religion.
Yeah.
Now, this particular Haylie, when it comes to things like why are we here? What is our purpose?
Mhm.
And things like that, I don't care. And I know we'll do a philosophy episode at some point, and we'll really get into that. But why are we here? I don't care. I'm already here. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
I'm going to live my life and then I'm going to die and it'll be done. And it won't matter that I was here. Hundreds of years from now, literally no one will care what I did while I was here.
God, hit us with the dark thoughts, Haylie. Jeez.
So I
None
don't
of this
need
matters.
Exactly. To me, literally none of this matters. My plan is to, while I'm here, do what I want within reason, be a good person, have a little fun, and whoop it up until I die.
Whoop it up. But see, I think some people could take that and say, if none of this matters, I might as well do what I want, which is very bad things.
Right. And that's why I think that religion is a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think that some of the Haylies might need that and they would be into it. But personally, I'm I just don't care why I'm here.
And see, that's where the Haylies differ from the Libbies.
Yeah.
The Libbies, for whatever reason, are preoccupied with understanding how we got here, why we got here, all of that. And I think that I personally, I do, obviously, I've said 1,000 times, I believe in God, I believe in higher power. And I think I would in an awful world too, because for me, knowing what I know about the universe and Earth and everything, I don't understand how this could have just happened.
Yeah.
For me. That's just my personal belief. So many things had to go right in order for us to be on this planet. You think about and we'll talk about space sometime. That'll be fun.
Yes, that'll be
astronomy, all that good stuff. But our research of other planets and galaxies and all that suggests that like it's a very unique set of circumstances here that led to people being able to be born here.
Right.
I also just think about all the crazy shit like that we talked about like in the medicine episode. Like how does this whole thing work? And like the number of times that it goes right versus wrong. There literally, while we're talking right now, there have been 1,000 babies born in the world.
Yeah.
How does that go right so often and
true.
not wrong? That is crazy to me. So like
because of hand washing. That's how it goes
the
right.
Answer. Yes, all hail the hand washing gods. But I think that like my desire personally, this Libby wants to understand the world through that lens. And so I would need that. I need that comfort. And I also need the comfort of like I'm going to see you again. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I struggle with the idea of death so much. And I think it's just comforting to know like, I'm going to see you again. Like this isn't it for us. So, but again, that doesn't mean that I'm like, Haylie, like what a sociopath.
Right.
That she doesn't believe that or whatever. I just think that's my understanding of the world. So I think we'd have it for sure.
We definitely would. Now, here's my big question.
Okay, hit me.
Okay. So we're the original Haylies and Libbys of the world way back when. We're probably believing in polytheism, would be my guess to start.
Yeah.
Because you would need to explain things like the rain and the whatever,
sure.
all that kind of stuff. Now, by the time we're writing things down, we would probably write some stuff about our religion down.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. We would probably all then, the people who are all believing the same thing, get together.
Yeah.
At what point does that become church?
That's a good question. I don't know. So like my idea of church is different than other people because like there is a piece of scripture in the Bible that I can't remember. But Jesus basically says like wherever like 2 or more are gathered in my name basically is like I'm there.
Oh my God. You know what's hilarious about that?
What?
Is in Greek life so like if you have to register if you're having a party.
Yeah.
And they constantly say if 2 or more are gathered, it is a party.
See?
And so if you don't register that, you can get in trouble if somebody like tells or gets hurt or something like that.
Fascinating.
So,
with 2 or more people. Interesting.
Yeah. So, which makes sense because sororities and fraternities, a lot of them are based in the Christian faith.
Yeah.
So it's funny that would
that
be
is funny that would
thing.
be the guideline. Yeah. So I think again, our idea of church has been historically different than what I think of as the whole like, and on this day we're going to go to this place for this amount of time, and like I think a small reason why I take issue with that is because it feels a little too like habitual to me. Like at what point, I think it's a very fine line between, having your beliefs and, acting on those good beliefs and being moral and compassionate and helpful. At what point is it just, I'm just going through the motions?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that I can get where I think I, should go.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that.
No.
I don't. I've never believed that good works get you into heaven.
Right.
I have never believed in the whole morality signaling thing because at that point, you're not, being spiritual. You're putting on for other people.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the Joel Osteen effect. You know what I mean? It's just like,
yes.
I don't buy it. I don't like it. It's fake to me. It's about money, which I don't know if you know this, Haylie, but Jesus got mad one time in the Bible. Does he display anger as an emotion?
Okay.
And it's over money. He goes
Makes sense.
into like the town square where they're doing all the dealings and he flips a table with money on it. And he like throws money at people and he's like, give to God what is God and give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Because Caesar was in power at the time.
We should just totally all kill Caesar.
We should just kill Caesar. Ugh. So like, again, that's a whole thing where I'm just like, now how can you justify to yourself that you make millions of dollars off of this. And Jesus flipped a table over money in the Bible. The one time he got angry, the one time, it wasn't when he was betrayed by his friends. It wasn't when he was crucified. It wasn't any of that.
Yeah.
It was over money. And you're going to sit back in your mega church making millions of dollars with big diamond rings on your hands. And you're going to tell me that you're such a pious person? I don't buy it. I don't like you.
But now, going back to an awful world, do you think Jesus would do that in an awful world with our glitter money?
No, I don't.
I think that he would be like, I'm kind of into it. I kind of like this. It's more fun.
Because, Haylie, an awful world would look so different.
Yeah, it's true.
An awful world is a world in which none of these problems exist.
No.
Because we are not money grubbing people, you and I.
No.
We're just not.
We're
you
not.
know? It's important to me to have like financial security.
Yes.
I have never understood the need for more.
No.
I don't, I just want to live comfortably.
Yeah.
I want to be able to go
100%.
on vacation and do that sort of thing. Do I need a super yacht? Do I need a private jet? No, I don't need any of that.
No.
I don't need it. And like, I am still just very concerned with like other people in our country. Like I think about like single moms making $12 an hour and I'm like, how do they exist?
Right.
And what are we going to do to figure out? And that is, oh my God, a whole other thing where it's like, in our country, we lean so much on our government, and it used to be that we leaned on our communities, and our communities were built around faith and helping people, and we've gotten away from that, and it's a big burden on government, and like our communities need to like come back together and learn to help each other. And
but I also feel like because our faith has gotten so out of whack,
it absolutely has,
that they've had to
like
put government
kibosh
things in place, because it used to for a while, I feel like it was like, oh, well, come to the church and we'll help you out. But then it was like, well, at the church, then we're going to shame you and tell you you're a terrible person. And then we're not going to help you at all.
Exactly.
And so then it was like, well, then why would I come around?
Exactly.
But I do still need help. So the government was like, well, then I'll step in and help, because somebody has to.
Because the idea is never like, okay, you come to this church and we help you out in exchange for no. That's not how this works.
The end. We help you out.
We help you out.
No questions
asked.
asked.
That is what we were taught to do.
Yes, because
we
that's
are
what
to
good
help
people
you.
do.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And like, there's in the Bible, Jesus talks with the whore at the well.
Yeah.
And he's not like, now I'll give you some good advice and some help if you believe. That's never what happened. That's not what happened at all. He just said, I'm going to help you out. And that's it, period, point blank, end of story. And so, I totally agree with you that as a society, as a culture, we've gotten away from that because our faith has gotten so out of whack, and it's put a lot of burden on the government. And don't even get me started on government and religion, because it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Maybe we'll touch on it when we touch on government.
Yes, maybe so. Yeah, because the whole separation of church and state is an interesting topic to talk about for sure. But anyway, so no, in an awful world, I don't think Jesus is going to be flipping the tables over our glitter money, because we're not greedy people.
No.
We are not like super like, I'm better than you. I have never once thought of myself as better than somebody else because of my religion.
No.
Or the amount of money I have.
I've never felt like
not a lot.
I've never felt like I'm better than somebody else really on anything, because where I have my strengths, I also have my weaknesses.
Absolutely. Just like any other person.
Exactly. And while, I may be an attorney and someone else may be a plumber, I don't fucking know plumbing. So who am I going to call for help?
We need people like that so bad.
So I'm like, I don't think that I'm better than anybody for anything.
Because you're not. We're all just bringing, what we can to the table.
Exactly.
And it works like that, right?
Yes.
Like community works like that because everybody is bringing what they have to the table.
Yes.
And so that is such a core, value of that sort of setup, is that that's what makes communities so strong.
But I think that with that, we all need to, have our beliefs.
Yeah.
But keep them to ourselves, unless somebody asks.
Right.
Good God.
For sure.
But no one needs it shoved down your throat.
Right.
Ever. And I just
had a thought about people getting worked up around the holidays. And they're like, oh, but I said Merry Christmas to an Islamic person. I'm like, okay. If someone said Happy Kwanzaa to me, I wouldn't be like, oh, how dare you? I'd just be like, oh, happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, how fun.
Cool, happy Hanukkah. I don't care.
I know. Do
what you want.
I always say happy holidays. And when I have worked retail and customer service jobs and I say happy holidays, and the amount of times I've been screamed at because I didn't say Merry Christmas. And I have said, well, I know people who don't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, and I don't want to make them feel bad.
I'm like, I don't know who you are and I don't want to make any assumptions.
Right.
But this is the holiday season.
Right.
Of all holidays, not just Christmas.
But at the same time, if somebody said happy Hanukkah to you, what would be your response?
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, thank you. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
I might be like, oh, I don't celebrate, but like, do you? How fun. Tell me all about it. You know?
I want to hear about your menorah.
Yeah.
Tell me.
I love a menorah.
Do you guys sit around listening to Adam Sandler sing about it's time for Hanukkah, put on your yarmulke? Because I do.
Yeah, I was like, I do. I love it.
100%. And I am not Jewish.
Right. Because it's fun.
And O.J. Simpson is neither. He says that in the song. O.J. Simpson, not a Jew. But you know who is? A Hall of Famer, Rod Carew. And so that's our episode on Adam Sandler. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But yeah, I just think our world would look so different. So it just wouldn't ever be so warped like it is now. And maybe that's big-headed of me to think, but I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think that, you know, I feel like the basis of religion always starts with such good intentions.
Yeah.
Not every. Because I feel like nowadays people are like starting churches for like tax breaks and like cults and, you know, 100%. Crap like that. But like originally, people are just trying to explain the world they live in, you know, and create guidelines on how to live. And I think that that's beautiful. I think that that's wonderful. And I think that with that, you know, you do just get together with your friends who feel the same way. Yeah. And then you chat and you're like,
talk about
this is so fun. We should do this more often. Right. What's everyone doing Sunday at 10 a.m.? Right. You know, kind of a thing.
Right.
And, you know, and then you write your stuff down. You've got your little books.
And you share it with other people if they're interested.
People become interested. It becomes a thing. You guys all chip in a little money so that you can like get snacks,
right?
Do whatever, have a bench, have little,
something to sip on while you're talking.
Yeah, just a little something. All of a sudden, that's a church. But then what happens is someone sneaks in, they get a little higher, they are worse, and they get a little higher and higher and worse and worse. And next thing you know, it's a cult.
Yeah.
And this is my big thing. And this is where I hope I don't piss anybody off. I think organized religion is a cult.
Sometimes it can be, for sure. Sometimes it gives off culty vibes.
It 100% does. Like, think about all the fundamentalist Christian churches. And like, oh gosh, what's that one? The Way Down documentary. Mm-hmm. That is a fundamentalist Christian religion.
But it's people using it.
But they're...
Yeah, but
they're
using
cult now. Yeah,
100%.
Like,
no doubt about it.
You know, and I'm not saying every religion is, and I'm not saying the basis of religion is. I'm saying that organized religion,
it can be can
become a cult.
Yeah,
and that is where I really have a big problem with it. And I think a lot of just like normal level religious people also have a problem with it. A lot of times, I think you see a lot of religious people who are like, my religion is being taken from me.
Yes, and like, here's the thing. I think that you're 100% on the money. And I think that what we see because of media and whatever else is the, 5% of people who are extremists.
Yes.
And who are blowing things out of proportion and who are taking over this, whole Jesus was a woke loser thing. That's 5%. If you ask me.
Yeah.
I think 95% of people you talk to and ask who are in some sort of, organized religion, whether that be they're Jewish, they're Hindu, they're Islamic, they're Christian, they are like, no. We don't subscribe to that. You know what I mean?
Right. But you hear the people who scream the loudest.
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
It skews our perception for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it certainly can like sway people to join that. And I don't want to get too much into the cult topic.
No, because that's going to be its own thing.
It's going to be its own episode and it's going to be great because I do want to talk about where cults come from.
Yeah.
And they certainly, a lot of them have their basis in religion for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, I want us to be able to talk about where that spirals out of control.
Yeah.
And cults are such a fascinating topic to me and something that I've spent a lot of my life watching movies, about listening to podcasts and reading books and
the documentaries.
Oh my goodness. I eat it all up.
Yes.
But yeah, so I don't want to step too far into that, but
right.
I see what you're saying.
Yes.
And I don't disagree.
I was like, I just have to
put it out there. No,
you know?
I get that.
Because it's truly what I feel. And I hate that because that's not what it's for.
Yeah.
And I think that that's unfair. And I don't think that would happen in an awful world because I think we would just be like, whoa, this guy's insane.
Right.
Kick him out of the group.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think people would be like, no. Listen to what he has to say. I think we'd be like, no, he's insane.
Yeah.
Like he can go talk to a wall. Right. I don't care.
Right. Whenever your ideologies and your teaching start to lean towards a basis of hate, we've lost you.
Right.
We have lost you completely.
100%.
Because that hate has never been part of any good ideology. It doesn't work. Hate does not work.
No, that's not the point.
No, and it's just it's not it's just ugh. I hate hate.
I was going to say the only time that hate works is for the Grinch. Hate, double hate. Loathe entirely.
So that's pretty much not all I have to say about religion.
No, but I think we should wrap it up there.
I think so too. This was a heavy episode.
It was.
You know, I hope our listeners are like, cool, that was interesting. That was, I hope that they got to see like two sides of the coin and like where we're coming from and how, you know, we're two different people in that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we would still have an awful world. It would still be an awful world of people that like love each other and are all about compassion and helping each other and being good people.
There would just be like less wars about the religion.
Yeah.
Less cults from the religion.
Like, the wars would be about like which version of Annie was better.
That's right. Know? Which, yes, we need to talk about for just a second because a few episodes ago, we had our friend Megan on here. And at the end, we were like, yeah, there's something that we argue about all the time, but we can't think about what it is. It truly is the biggest argument in our friendship. Mm-hmm. And we have been friends for like 12 years. And it is which version of Annie is better. And I'm correct because Megan's not here to defend herself.
Well, I'm here to defend Megan because I am team Megan on this one.
Well, you're wrong. The Carol Burnett version is the superior version.
And I love the Kathy Bates version. And I while I recognize that Carol Burnett is fantastic and she had the Carol Burnett show, which was very funny.
She's one of the greats.
She is one of the greats, but so is Kathy Bates and you know it. And you know it.
Well, all I'm going to say is my version is better and Kathy Bates looks like Elon Musk.
That is not something I thought would come up in our religion episode. But here we are. So I surely didn't want to hear the words Elon Musk in the religion episode. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. It's totally fine. But yeah, that was our conversation about religion.
Yes.
I don't know what your thoughts are on the other end of the line here, but hopefully you feel good about religion in an awful world. I want you to feel good about it.
I do feel good about
it. And I am open to having conversations with people about this topic, but hit me up on that. Don't I don't want to talk about it anymore here. It's exhausting. Talking about religion is exhausting.
That's right. We're going to talk about more fun things, which will have religious undertones.
They will.
But we're going to...
As a lot of things do in the world.
Yeah.
Okay? It's something that's been around literally forever.
Yeah.
So...
But it'll lighten up from here.
We promise.
Yeah.
We promise. So let's get the heavy shit out of the way. Check it. Done.
That's right.
Religion. Next.
Next.
Well, anywho, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you listening to this wild conversation about religion. And check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram at An Awful World Podcast, Facebook. Hit us up. Let us know. Thanks for tuning in. Okay. Bye.
Bye.